You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? She's doing that thing again. Why does she keep doing that? It's so weird. She's the only one that does that. Just looks behind you. Let's finish this case. February 25th, 2:21 p.m. Let's wrap this up. Alright, Lana, let's hear what you gotta say. You know all I've done these past 2 years? Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Sky. Remember, you're on your oath. You want to hear the truth? No matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Alright, here we go. Chief Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. No truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Alright, that's a loaded baloney, but we'll prove that wrong. I'm confessing to a capital offense, of course I'm sure. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something. Okay. Alright, here we go. Let's wrap this up, boys and girls. We got another hour. How many years have you worked together? Ever since I'm 18, detective. Let's see, I was 24, that would be 5 years. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases. She must have been good, coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective, that's why. There was no truth in this blackmail theory. Think about it, this guy. You didn't murder the ticket. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? She's doing that thing again. Why does she keep doing that? It's so weird. She's the only one that does that. Just looks behind you. She just looks behind her. What does that mean? I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago by myself. Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister also became his last victim. Almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Nana. So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago. When I found Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. You did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems like it was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. Yeah, wasn't he stabbed with that? Oh, hypothetically. It wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, but I'll never change the statement. You mean... After the murder weapon, Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor just this way. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound. And then you move the body. But why? Why would you do that? You always had a good head on your shoulders. Why did you move the body? By Chief Gant's desk. The body was found by your desk. The jar threatened your plan? To show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So When you first found the body, the jar was already, of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you look at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed, but I have a feeling there's more to it than that. It wasn't broken during the struggle. Because the jar, he had time to write on the jar. Objection! He had time to write on the jar. Will have been in vain. Even so, I'm compelled to bring to everyone's attention the significant contradiction. You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar were shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. This is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not have yet been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. There we go. Order, order, Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor? Seems you're in the dark as we are about the truth towards where we're headed, blah blah blah. Just tell us exactly what you saw. Here we go. Jar and message in blood. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. It was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. Alright. You were the one who wiped away the message in blood? It wasn't Chief Prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Alright, here we go. So the jar was already broken. So maybe that thing had been broken earlier. You really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally I would have. It was dark in the room and I didn't have time to figure it out. No, if I had known, I would have gotten all the pieces and ground them to dust. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came. It's rather shocking. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. I'm afraid this action of yours really reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If you really thought Dark killed Professor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in that situation, Lana? I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. That was my alarm, so I'm sure I locked them all. All I could think about was wiping them. Oh, oops. Well, how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. All's repaired. Even I carry emergency luminol. One final possibility that might turn anything around, alright? You tell me, Phoenix, because I don't know what you're talking about. Objection! Wasn't a piece missing? We found the final piece of the jar in Dan's safe. She didn't know. There was still blood on it. Which leads us to an explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. Couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece?
Objection!
I'm afraid that's unlikely. Pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone its detective.
Objection!
Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When the witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. There's no way a name could have been written on the shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. It's probably Gant. The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? Nah. No. Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar, take that important piece. Question, what is this action called? Forgery? Fabrication? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Miranda Scott believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason why Miss Sky became the chief's puppet. No, I did it on my own. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill. Oh my God! She did. Just let her live with the truth. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Lana, you are annoying me, Lana. I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth. Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Lana may be right after all. What? What do you mean, right? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Sky, please testify once more. If evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. Accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall. Okay. Miss Sky, if you will. So Emma probably didn't kill Marshall. Okay. What I really saw. Alright. Okay. Here we go. The actual crime scene. Here we go. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on the suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had you can't help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Alright, here we go. Unbelievable! The body was impaled on the armor's sword. You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. What? We didn't get that evidence. Oh! Oh my God. I didn't even see that. Oh my God. That's the actual picture. I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Oh my gosh. That's the thing with your, yeah, it's your handprint. Had fingerprints on it. Oh yeah, she doesn't know. Alright. Hold it. Wow, I didn't even get to... Oh boy. He came back. Come now, Reggie. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. You want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put a word or two in my defense. Too late for that. You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make any statements of any sort. This must be the risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Bro. Nice one, Edgeworth. That was cool. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Really? What? Wow. But someone does. So, what's your excuse, Raito? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Yeah, I guess we gotta show it. If you try to conceal evidence, you'll be the one appearing for the Board of Inquiries. Yeah, we gotta do it. We have to do it.
Take that!
It's a piece of leather cloth. There's a big handprint on it. Surely it must have been left on the cloth by whoever shoved the victim onto the sword. Whose fingerprints are this? I'm sure Raito has checked, haven't you? Well, whose are they? They're Miss Sky's, Emma Sky's. See, I told you it was conclusive. But this was found in your safe. That means it's possible you forged it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any cloth in my safe. Do you really expect me to believe that? Well, you just told us. You knew we had evidence. Give it up, Mr. Wright. It's over. What? You shouldn't have presented that. By presenting that evidence, you tied Emma Sky to Neil Marshall's death. No. Because we have our killer. No. No, no, no. Oh, I wasn't supposed to do that? Wow. How far back did we just get set back? Nope, can't show that. What? You lie. You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, it's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest. Notice anything odd about the chest area? Looks like a part of it's been cut out for some reason. You have been concealing evidence? This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Raito. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene, and the crime made a description. Okay. Then I tampered with the crime scene. I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This is for landing on the scene. Insurance. I wasn't about to let anyone blame you for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? See this jar fragment? I hid the most eligible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to want to wipe the blood off all the pieces. What's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too? Ho ho ho! Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance they hadn't print. Come on, Rido, cough it up already. I know you have it. You were hiding the cloth you cut off from Vicky's vest in your safe. Well, Mr. Wright, just a moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Rido. You should have shown it then before it was too late. A long battle. The moment of truth has finally arrived. I do have evidence to present now.
Take that!
On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes, at last you finally brought it out into the open. Bro, you probably just put the hamper on there. She was passed out. The hamper on the leather must be a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. You are slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Rido had all the time to present this evidence, yet he'd be reluctant to do so. Why would he? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Very well, I'll tell you. Should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted.
Take that!
Emma Sky. Emma Sky? They're mine? Oh ho ho! We're getting something. This girl really did shove Marshall to his death. You knew those fingerprints were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. She didn't do it. You perfectly consumed this conclusive evidence that, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Sky, wasn't it? No, no, no. I'm afraid that's not possible. She was unconscious. That proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could possibly contradict it? The piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Oh no. Ah. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes. Shirt is showing underneath. Hard to make out with all the blood on his vest though. Exactly. His chest is soaked with blood. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured, blood poured out of his mouth. It doesn't have blood! Oh my god, that's like big brain. That's like big brain logic there. How did I miss that? I was just guessing. Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. But it wasn't. It was before he died. It was before he got impaled. Right? Yeah. Prosecutor, when he was shoved, he was not impaled when he was shoved aside. Most likely hit his head on the ground, was knocked out. Who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Sky? Picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the arm with his sword. Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeds to write her name on the jar with Emma's blood, a jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue, and make Lana believe her sister did it. And the You made it only moments ago. Remember that you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Though the very act of creating insurance, you prove that you were the actual murderer. Ow! It's finally over. Objection! I knew it. Just like one more. Yeah. Oh, that was close, Rido. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean? You see, this piece of cloth is illegal evidence. No. No, evidence law. Evidence law. Remember Uji? That piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. Nope. Evidence law. True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. That you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth. I did? If I admit that how my plan was. Oh. Objection! It isn't, Mr. Gant. It's not that I didn't present the evidence then, it's that I couldn't. There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Uji, don't listen to his lies! Evidence law. There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. That's the, that's this thing.
Take that!
Right? That thing? There it is. This is my proof. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, it was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. You see, it's written right here in this book, the second rule of evidence law. I found this piece of evidence myself inside your safe. It goes without saying I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence must be presented if it's relevant to the case. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture. Objection. Sorry, but can you recall when that picture was presented? Shown only a few moments ago. No? He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes! Got you. It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. That's crazy. You, Chief of Police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and there's only one person who that could be, Damon Gant. The killer was you. No. No. Wahahahahaha. Hey, hey, hey. Oh my god, he's clapping. He is clapping. He is a... Oh my god, he's a clapping man. Ha 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 ha. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good for nothing scum. 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Star, the given Bruce Goodman. That's right. evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you gotta help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He sold Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. Everyone went into the evidence room, and all of a sudden he decided to speak out. This is new. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. Oi, oi! He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand this over to Marshall." Well, I was a bit taken aback. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would only lead to more blood, making it impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worried so much about the floor, I didn't realize my mistake. A bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing anything. And you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? I make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how could you get Miss Sky involved in all this? She had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out, so you took the evidence from Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it, but I also didn't have time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments and the glove. Looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. Wow, that's crazy. You're going to jail. They'll do their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well. We're going to take you to jail, buddy. You're going to jail. For a long time. To me, why do you stand in court? Me, you despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me were the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, gee. Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. Sorry too, Damon Gent. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example of to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Elchie. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Raito here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. There are two things I want you to understand. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All I've done these past 2 years from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until this day. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Sky, I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now you might just make it to the top. She's smiling! I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been. It was nothing. I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job. It seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky, you are innocent of murder, however, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand. There's something amusing about all this. Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I've felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone on far too long. Regarding the charge of the murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, not guilty. Yay, confetti. We did it! We did it! We did it! At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. Just after the trial ended, I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe my thanks. What, because she smiled? It was nice seeing her smile. Oh. Yes, I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective man I want to do this. Blah, blah, blah. Are you here because of my sister again? Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me. I thought you'd like to see someone. Emma. Or Lana. There it is. I meant Lana. Lana! She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis, don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Alright. Sis, I asked Gant to help me uncover the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. Attitude was the only way I could make it through these past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. I turned my back on you that day, and hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Such a fool took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. You're happy. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back, and now you have. She's smiling. Yay. Oh, it's not. Ooh, there we go. Thumbnail. That's a thumbnail. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe, thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Always grimacing, Edgeworth. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you, thank you. Right, well, I'll be going now. He just left. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize that I can't correct my mistakes. But I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. You despise criminals, I can feel that you and me were the same. One day you'll understand. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said, in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright, and because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Oh, what? Oh, yeah. Show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, oh god. Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. Ah, the evidence list. I'm stupid.
Take that!
Yeah, I'm stupid. That's literally... You had one half and I had the other half. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. If you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. I'll be waiting for you in court. Alright, see you, buddy. I better be going too. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to. Here's a little something for you. Scientific investigation. First book I ever bought. Study it well. We did it! And so another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. As for me, I think it's time I started a new journey of my own. Wow. Mia, Maya, Miles, a journey to rediscover myself in Ace Attorney 2. Don't go tricking off just yet, pal, huh? What is it? There's a little matter that to be resolved about the Chief Prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap. Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the one who'll be footing the bill. You think I can afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Oh, well, sorry, man. I suddenly feel like I want to scream. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we go pay it off together?
Objection!
Alright. We did it. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. Alright. Hope she'll be pleased to study under the top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Aww. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. That was crazy. How long were you here for? What time did I start recording? I started recording at like 2. You overlooked my unauthorized impression. If we penalized you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. Dun, dun, dun. Yasuaki Kishimoto, Kojiro Ogiwara, Hirochika Nagaki, Kota Fukamachi, Takanori Ishikawa. Oh, it's Rock Lee. Someday I'm gonna make detective. No. I don't want to see you for a long time. I know I'm going to have to see you again eventually, but I do not want to see you for a long time. Thank you. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Star managed to sneak this into me. She's seeing one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? I got you, bro. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. I don't know why that delayed. So farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the Right Way Lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. The kids seem to dig the turnabout scheme. It's a hot seller around exam time, just make sure not to eat it backwards. I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing something or other for how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I better be... Huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel! Sorry, I gotta go. That's the first time I've ever seen his chair. Up close. How do you still not know our names, dude? Oh, it's Maya! Ah, nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, something I do miss, hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming. Well, see you around, Nick. We went to see Maya. Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, why do you keep being relevant? Who are you, dude? You're from Case 2. Emma, thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. It's like the corpse again. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's when they were younger. That's a good thumbnail. Yeah, I'm gonna play the other games eventually, but for now, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.